Hey, welcome to Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you the right information for you to make the correct decisions at the ballot box. So, we've got a great show for you today. Charles is here. I will be bringing him in shortly. You know, I'm a football fan, and I am going to be checking to see how my team is doing. Where is the refresh? Let's see if we've won yet. And it's, oh boy. Broncos are ahead 27-12 with 2 minutes and 38 seconds. So there must be an injury. That's why it's been stuck on that for the last couple of minutes. So something's going on. And if things go well, we may have our fifth victory in a row. And so that's great for the Broncos. So let's get the show on the road. Let's welcome all the way from upstate or, over in that part of New York. Let's welcome Charles.
Hey, Art. Hey, folks in the chat.
So you're getting some of that gloomy weather today. It's been nice, sunny and warm here. Got all the packages out for the winners from last night, and also Christmas cards that are going out. I believe you got yours a few days ago, so that's great. And so Lloyd, so I got a bunch more out today, which is great. The weather is just wonderful here. So
good. Maybe they'll slide over our way next week.
Right. Yes. We had some snow over the weekend. And when I got up to go mail the packages, there was like a half inch of snow on the ground. And I'm like, oh, holy cow, it's bright out here. So got that done. And then I picked up the rest of my prescriptions for my medication. From my ticker here, and hopefully I won't be needing that for like forever. So probably not, because this was just a little mild heart attack, no blockage, which is good. Very little damage, and so right now they got me on blood thinners and statins, and the downside to that is every time you get a hangnail, boy, you bleed like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So the big news is Hamas has released some hostages, and so part of me is thinking, they're just using this to regroup and shore up their defenses, and they're going to go on another attack shortly here. So
probably because they've already either canceled the hostage trade or stopped it in the middle of what was going on, and they're saying no more hostages back until Israel puts financial support into northern Gaza, I think they said.
Right. Yeah. How about, hey, we'll give you financial support once you guys surrender. Yeah, how about that? Get
a legitimate non-terrorist government in there, and we'll be happy to,
Mm-hmm. Right. And everything that Hamas has done is against, basically war crimes is what they've committed. And so that should just take their legitimacy right off the table right there, because you do not put offensive weapons near or under civilian populations, such as schools and hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
and,
And homes.
and homes. And boy, and it's not like they have a regular army. I mean, basically they do. These terrorists have been trained by Iran for who knows how many years that this has been in the planning. But it just I'm sick of it. I'm like going, let's get them, be done with it. The way I look at it is those hostages they're casualties of war. They're not. If any come out, that is great. But I'm sorry to say this, but they're pretty much goners. Say it politely, but
Sadly, yeah.
yeah, and it's not like like the wars we've had with Afghanistan and Iraq, where once hostilities ceased, we traded prisoners and we helped rebuild those countries. And then basically President Knucklehead comes in, pulls out of Afghanistan, hands it over to the Taliban, and not really a legitimate government. They're terrorists, and we left all that equipment in back there, even though some of it was disabled. They were able to sell the parts because they're like right next to Iran. They just send it over there, and Iran just ships it out to all their proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas and ISIS is another one. And there's a group down there in Yemen that they've been helping out as well. So, what else is going on? He's running a little late, so I will pop him in once he's ready to go. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We got Michael, cool cat. Good to see you. All the way from England. We got this side of the pond, which is New England. Waypoint, New England. Brian, welcome. Good to see you. And we got Brad, Catskills. Brad, good to see you. Ronnie, God bless America. And we got Charles Goluski. Dominic, all the way from the land down under. And I believe that is about it. So we're not doing too bad. We got a good crowd here today. So, what other political news have you been hearing, Charles?
Well, not much of actual politics, but more about like what's going on in Disney behind the scenes. I mean, they've just had one successive failure that gets worse, once right after another. The Marvels, they don't think they're going to break 200 million globally, and the budget for that was almost 300 million. And then when you add, marketing on top of that, that could go as high as 400 or 500 million. So that is now in complete disaster status. The same thing with their movie Wish, and a lot has been coming out that was the movie Wish was supposed to talk about the origins of Disney and the song "When You Wish Upon a Star," and apparently woke activists forced out or managed to harass more experienced members of Disney to the point where they now work for other companies, and the people that are left there are afraid to speak out and talk about things.
Right.
And so what we got is this terrible movie where the animation is just horrible.
Wow.
It's not up to Disney standards.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's done by people who were inexperienced, people who were diversity hires, and that's the only reason they were hired.
Right.
And so you've got that, and then this plot where this young girl manages to defeat a far more experienced, older wizard. Now that's exactly what happened inside Disney. And so there's all kinds of callbacks and stuff from references to these other movies.
Right.
But that doesn't work. That doesn't really talk about that really doesn't speak to the origins of When You Wish Upon a Star. It really doesn't speak to the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney. That's what that movie should have been.
Mm-hmm.
This movie should have been, this huge, extravaganza, and it didn't
right.
go there because of the activists working within the company.
Yeah, and sadly, I think it's going to get to a point where the company is just going to fall apart. All the investors are going to start pulling their money, and a lot of these activists, what we call the EGSs,
ESG,
ESG. They don't give a crap about profits. They think about is ramming their ideology down the throats of the public to try to change their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to get to a point where Disney is probably going to go broke. And it's going to get to a point where the company will just get picked apart by all these smaller studios. And then you got the theme parks. What's going to happen to the theme parks? Are they going to go away like Six Flags did?
I don't know. I mean, already, what's the name of their Star Wars one? Galaxy's Edge. That's in huge. I think they actually had to shut that down.
Wow. And whatever happened to Epcot Center? Did that close down, or did that?
I don't know. I don't know. Isn't Epcot Center in Florida?
Yeah, it's in Orlando, and it's like right next to Disney. And it was supposed to be like a look into the future. Mm-hmm. They had these monorails, and which now don't work anymore, and they had this geodesic dome where I guess they were trying to show, this is the future of how we're going to live in the future inside these domes. And
which is kind of sad because geodesic domes, I think, are cool.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If you get them built right, I think they would make great living spaces.
Right. All right. Speaking of hollow spaces, let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Well, he does play with dolls.
Yeah, I have a dummy or two around. They're all practicing to be the next president or the next vice president.
There you go. Or they could be the president of Disney.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
About as intelligent as the people running it right now.
Yeah, Disney is not the least bit concerned. At least the hierarchy of it is not the least bit concerned about profits or whether their movies are any good. They don't care. They're pushing an agenda with the idea that as long as the board is okay with it, and it's just one of the platforms that was taken over for their ideology, to change their ideology, and they were, they made this big conglomerate, bought out all these smaller studios, and then have turned around and trashed everything because they're pushing that woke agenda, and they don't care. They just don't care. I think even bring them back
because they're going to have to, because so far they've lost $1 billion.
Oh yeah, somebody's going to have to. I thought maybe bringing Bob Iger back might have helped, but it doesn't seem to have changed anything. It just made it worse.
Well, I don't think he's been back long enough to change
to
it.
do it. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And he's kind of a lame duck, but I still don't. It's going to take a lot more than just bring Bob Iger in, because Bob Iger's on board with all this other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and they're they're completely revamping the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're changing that up. I think HBO might be, or HBO Discovery, or Warner Brothers Discovery, might be trying to correct some of the problems they had in the past, and that's why they're rebooting what they call the DCU. And they're kind of they're because their movies haven't been doing well either. So they've decided, like the Flash movie, that was one they had a problem with Ezra Miller, and they basically fixed it so that, Ezra Miller won't be coming back because his timeline has been changed and moved off onto another thing, and they're just going to leave it that way. They changed up the timeline
Right.
with the Flashpoint setup that they had. This way, they don't have to hire back the people that were the actors that were good. It's just the script writing. They don't have to bring back Zack Snyder and all of those guys. They're just completely, and that's what Marvel is doing, and Disney. They're just wiping the slate clean, and then I'm hoping that, I know with Disney, or with Discovery HBO, or Discovery Warners, I should say, they're going to try and correct some of it, but we'll see. And
Right.
but they've delayed so many things, like Batgirl isn't coming out because it may eventually show up on streaming, but I don't even think it's going to ever show. They haven't made. They just weren't.
It's been scrubbed from the database. The movie no longer exists now.
Oh, they completely scrubbed it. Yeah, that's what I thought they would. Yeah.
Well, maybe
Which is sad.
Period.
Yeah. I think the Batgirl that I would have liked to have seen it. Some of the clips I've seen of it looked like it could have been interesting, but and there's another company that spent $1 bazillion on a movie that they, like you said, they just scrubbed it from the database. They just flushed it down the toilet. Like,
wow,
these companies can't keep doing this, trying to get their agenda across.
Right.
And I think the pendulum is starting to swing back towards the more conservative, or at least towards the center from the far left, because the far left is starting to lose, lose out a lot of people now.
Yeah, they're alienating a lot of people, and then you got some really wackadoodles, and which is starting to cause a rift within the Democrat Party. You got your Hamas loving idiots, and then you got these woke idiots. They're clashing, and it's just getting nuts.
Yeah, it's the Democratic Party is probably going to end up. It'll probably end up changing again, before it's all over. But they're going to have to do something about, what I think what's going to happen is they're probably going to end up at the last minute, somewhere about March of next year, or maybe even as late as June of next year. Biden's going to say, "Well, I just can't, because of my health, I can't run," and Gavin Newsom's going to step up there and boom.
Wow.
Because he's already running a shadow. But I don't think people who have lived in California and left California aren't any more likely to vote for Gavin Newsom now or then than they would be now. And I think the Democrats, but then again, leave it to the Republicans to screw up a perfectly good election.
That's true.
That's true. We are so talented at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Leave it to the Republicans, because we can.
Democrats.
No, I mean Republicans. Yeah, but we maybe we got to do something as a party to decide. Because Trump's on a roll, but I don't know. I don't know who we've got in place that can actually take over for him and have the populist type vote that he's got right now.
Yeah. Well,
He's,
about the closest would be Ramaswamy. I mean, he's
yeah,
pretty nationalistic and
yeah,
populist, so to speak. So, and okay.
yeah. I
So,
was just reading what
and
Cat
some,
was writing.
right, politically homeless. Oh, yeah, no. Yep,
Yeah,
that's right, Ronnie.
right. That's true too.
Hmm.
And a lot of Californians are looking at that. They're thinking, why did you was able to clean up San Francisco for the Chinese to come in? Why couldn't you do that every day? I mean, how hard would that have been? It just
Right.
goes to show you where his priorities are.
Hmm.
And a lot of Californians are seeing that.
Yep.
So,
And you got companies that are pulling out of San Francisco and LA and other big cities
yeah,
because they're losing money due to these smash and grab and shoplifting. And
yeah. When you go back and you look at the Bolshevik Revolution and everything, and you see that the reason those people revolted was against the Tsar because they had all the money, all the aristocracy had all the money, and the peasants didn't.
mhm,
Well, the unfortunate thing about the current communist revolution here in the United States is by the time they finally get power, there's not going to be any damn money left because they'll have bankrupt all of the businesses.
right.
There's going to be nothing to share. We'll be so far in debt that if the communists were to overthrow this government, through an election,
Mhm.
uh, if AOC approves of shoplift, that nothing that woman says surprises me.
Yeah. Well, the way
But
she thinks about it is, oh, well, they have insurance. Insurance will cover the cost, but she has
and
no
that's
business sense
that's
because
somebody
that's
who
going to drive up the cost.
I mean, you got to think with her, she was inexperienced at anything when it comes to politics or finances. She was
Mhm.
she was a bartender,
Right.
paying off her college loan and doing that stuff, but wasn't really worried about she racked up her college debt and of course wants the government to forgive it or wanted the government to forgive it, and
Mm-hmm.
her idea of world politics is completely different than what she had no experience when she came into office. And a lot of politicians don't, but they have world experience. She had none. She
Mm-hmm.
had no life experience whatsoever. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right.
and that's why she can go. She can still have these naive attitudes about, well, the insurance will pick it up, not thinking, well, who the hell pays the premiums on those insurance?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when those companies go bankrupt, well, that could hurt the insurance company in the end because they're no longer getting, all of the companies have gone bankrupt. They're no longer getting premiums. They're going to go bankrupt, and they can't. It's just
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yes, it is. And speaking of frustrating, Jesse Waters has filed a suit against The View.
Oh, has he? I hadn't heard that.
Yes, evidently, when he made a statement about Target and their branding towards, Pride,
Right, right.
those Pride products, whatever,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Tide, but Pride. Uh,
Right,
so the View decided to take him on and impugn that he is all about hate and all this stuff. And it's like, and that's not exactly what he was saying. He was just saying how this kind of thinking, and we were just talking about it with Disney, and it's hurting their their brand, and people are saying, well, I'm not going to shop there. I, I'm open-minded, but I'm not so open-minded. My brain slip out of my head that, and it's hurting the company. It's driving shoppers away, and it's just like, I was watching the football game today, and I saw a Bud Light commercial. I go, yeah, well, wonder how much they're blowing on that nobody will buy that crappy beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and God, who was it? Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. Go on, Charles. You were really doing good until I got on here, so you just continue on. I'll sit here and let my brain relax. I fell asleep earlier today, and I woke up later than I intended, and then Judy woke up about 10 minutes before the show started, so I had to get up and help her out. And so you go ahead, and Charles, I'll just sit here and let my brain relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll finish my nap.
Well, I was just talking about the entertainment industry, and and about this, and in terms of Target, it wasn't celebrating gay pride, which why should you should be proud of your sexual orientation,
Right.
It was about they were making onesies,
Right.
with gay queer slogans on them, and it's like a child has no conception of anything.
Right.
Like it knows its butt is sore because its diapers hasn't been changed. It knows its stomach is empty and it needs food. It knows it's cold and needs to be warm. It knows it wants attention from mommy and or daddy. That's all it knows.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the Satanist angle on the whole thing. They actually had these little buttons that said, because the guy who designed all this stuff was a Satanist. He had these little buttons that said, God hates gays, so we're going to stick with Satan. And they were actually selling these little buttons that said that. They actually showed them on them. And it's like,
wow.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way it sucks because we were, up until then, me and my mom were big time Target customers because they always had something that we wanted,
Right.
Some food, some other item. But when that took place, I was like, Mom, we just no. And haven't done business with them since then. Not a penny.
Well, and then on top of that, they were putting the pecker packers, in the diapers and stuff, so they could hide their, they could pack their nad, so they could pack their nads and be transsexual diaper wearers. Really? Maybe Joe could be a transsexual diaper wearer, but not when they're, like you said, infants that can't even walk yet. It's like, what the hell?
Well, maybe that was for Buttigieg, because he is the transportation secretary.
Yes, he is, but unfortunately, he couldn't fit into these. These were meant for infants and toddlers.
Okay, well, his
ideas
are infantile.
Yeah, well, that's true, but the idea that they put, tucking pockets so that they could hide, so that toddlers could hide their junk, that's just sick. It's just beyond sick. It's twisted, and it shows the ideology of this group. It was. I talked about this with my cousin. I had a cousin who was gay, and we talked about this. I said, I don't have a problem with you two going down to the courthouse, getting married, and you as a couple being protected. That's if you want to be a couple, that's fine, and you should be protected if you're both contributing to the household when one of you dies, or make out a will, something like that. But but don't, but once that law passes, that they have, open marriage for gays, straights, whatever. Once that happens, then are they going to start going to, let's say, the Catholic Church or the Pentecostal Holiness Church say because you can marry people under the state license, we will require you to keep your licensing abilities to marry gay couples.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I said, when you start walking to my church and telling me how, and then the other side of that would be that if you don't, we'll remove your abilities to marriage under a state license, and and I said, that's when I start having a problem. And that's what I see is going to happen when they start allowing this, and look at all the churches that have been flip-flopping and switching and just trying to keep up. They don't care about God's message. They care about society's message,
Right.
and that's not what religion is about. Whether you're
Well, we gotta
Muslim
be
or
inclusive,
huh?
Lloyd. We gotta
What?
be inclusive in this church.
Best bumper sticker I ever saw was "Kill them all, let God sort them out."
Yep. Yep.
Because that's the way I feel about it. It's not. I won't go to. I have been frustrated with Catholic Church for quite a while now. Ever since our current Pope has taken over, although he's come down pretty hard on the gay marriage thing this last week. He came down hard on it, even though he has transgender people coming to the Vatican to have dinner with him once a week. He still has come down and said it is, it's the law of the church that you will not have gay marriages, or we cannot condone gay marriages, nor can we condone women in the priesthood. It's that goes. He said that's been part of our hierarchy, and we're not going to change it. And he put it down as I think it came from the actual papal sees, which means he was on the seat of Peter, or the throne of the Pope, and he declared the law. So it's an irrevocable law now. So with the Catholic Church, but other churches, because I was so frustrated with because he is a socialist, I thought about going back to my roots, was the Lutheran Church. Well, hell, I won't go there now. I won't go back to the Methodist and the Presbyterians. I mean, they're just what I call the central high churches, were the ones that follow, or I thought about Episcopal, but I won't go there either because they're all following down that same pathway of inclusiveness. And this is what happens when we allow the nuts to run the nut house.
Right. Yep.
And anyways, yeah, it's disappointing. But
yeah.
On to the next subject.
What's going on in your neck of the woods, Lloyd? Your senator not beating up any
not this week. No, not this week. I was pretty proud of him.
Yeah.
That guy deserved it. He had it coming.
Oh yeah.
And I like to know that I have a senator, and he's a businessman. He was a plumber. He has his own plumbing business, one of the most successful ones up in Tulsa. And he fought MMA, and here inside the state, he's in a couple Ironman competitions, their version of it. And he's typical Okie. If you push him far enough, he's gonna, all right, we'll meet you behind the schoolhouse and let's settle this.
Right.
And and when he said it, he meant it, and he still, the problem, and that was typical, and that was a situation that was set up by Bernie Sanders. He just wanted to see, because they'd been going, those two, Mark Wayne Mullins and that union boss have been going back and forth, and he actually offered to he wanted to fight him, in a ring and do it properly, and for a fundraiser. Yeah, for charity. And that guy just, he He was a
Right.
typical union bully. You know,
Mhm. Yep. And
he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough union guys standing back there with pipes and clubs to
right.
support him. You know,
That's right. Now, a fight I would like to see would be Elon Musk and Zuckerberg.
I would too.
Yeah.
You know,
I bet
I would like.
Elon would clean his clock.
It would be interesting. I
Well,
don't know
no,
if it
because
would or not.
Zuckerberg isn't human, so Elon Musk would
Yeah.
be at
Yeah,
an
there you
extreme
go.
disadvantage.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it's been ours. That's why I like living in Oklahoma because we're pretty laid back. You know, we have we don't
Mhm.
we're conservative. And the funny thing is even the gays in the state of Oklahoma are pretty conservative too. I mean,
Good.
they don't the ones I still keep up with. I mean, like I said, my cousin has since passed away, so he was the only family member other that got some in-laws that are, but I'm not around them much. But the few that you know, they're like they see the LGBTQ XMNOP group as a bunch of nutcases. You know,
Mhm.
they
Yep.
don't see the point of you know going by you know why change the English language. It has been working fine all these years. Why do we got to come
Right.
up with new pronouns? You know,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's like really what it is that group is actually starting to hurt their own constituents because they're starting to see the writing on the wall. It's like, hey, we just wanted to be accepted, and we don't want to be above anybody, unless you're into
am I
that.
am I freezing up or is it just Art? Do you see Art freezing up, Charles?
Right?
Yeah, I think he just did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking over here on the screen here.
because I could see Charles was still moving, and you know,
Yeah,
usually when it happens, it's me that's freezing up. But Charles,
yeah.
I was watching Charles, and he was still moving, but
Well, I'm
you were
getting
glitching.
that Wi-Fi indicator right next to the live button. It's how it shows
Yeah,
signals strength, and I'm down. Oh, it's fluctuating to either one dot or two dots. Oh boy, yeah. So I think your Oki internet is spilled over, and I just paid my internet.
well, it depends. I'm sure if there's weather involved, you know, or maybe.
And I'm living in an apartment complex, so I think everybody's streaming all at once here.
Right,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it's so good. It wasn't me this time. I rebooted my system. I think, well, damn, I rebooted and I'm seeing
Mm,
Art glitch, and your audio was coming through fine. It was just your
right.
you know, like he says, like Cool Cat says, dropping the odd frame or two. You know,
By the way, the Broncos won 29-12 over the
good.
Cleveland Browns. Yep. So that's 5 in a row we've won. So
All right,
which is good. So hey, we're still mathematically in the hunt for a playoff spot. So
cool.
yeah. Which would be nice. Be the first time we've been in the playoffs in 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah, they've had some pretty miserable seasons last.
Oh God. Yep. But they're playing good ball, and I watched most of the game today, and it looked like they were trying to give it away, but then their quarterback, the Browns quarterback, got hurt in the fourth quarter, and the new guy just
Didn't
couldn't
have it.
do it.
Yeah.
He turned the ball over, right? I think it was the second second play when he got in. He decided, oh, let's get a little fancy here and do kind of I'll just toss the ball to you and you toss it to so and so, and the And then the ball started bouncing, and it bounced our way.
Yeah.
So we were
Is
able
University of Colorado going to any bowl games?
No, they lost again yesterday.
Yeah, did they? Yeah, I think
Yep.
OU is headed to the bowl games, and I think
Yeah.
OSU is as well. So,
Right.
I mean, it may be the Taco Bowl and the Taco Pizza Bowl out there in Hawaii or something. Some godforsaken, or Minot, North Dakota. I don't know.
Right. So Michigan is number 3 in the nation. So they're playing for the the Big Ten championship game next week against Iowa, which is good. Yep.
Yeah, I think OU goes to the Big Ten next season.
Oh,
They're
wow,
leaving.
interesting.
They're leaving the Big 12 at the end of this season. So that's why the big OSU OU game was such a big deal, because we have what's called a Bedlam game, which is between Oklahoma State and the University of Oklahoma every year, and have had, but this would be the last one because they'll be in complete different conferences now.
Right.
And,
Right.
So they're going, like I said, I think they're going to the Big 12.
Right.
Little more towards the east, and I'm not even sure if they'll be doing a Texas OU game anymore. I'd have to look. So, but I know they won't be playing OSU anymore, which is ridiculous because they're both in the same state, but 2 different conferences. So, starting next year.
So everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did. I did.
Same here. Had a excellent meal at my sister's house, and what did we do? Oh, I had with my phone. Everybody's watching Chi Chi Bang Bang, and I'm like, so I didn't stick around too long. Got home in time to watch Ken Herron. He had a pretty good show, and that's the first time I've watched almost the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too, for a change, because I'm like, you get to points like, oh, okay, that's it's just not really interesting, and either that or I forgot that was the Thursday it was on, but I went to sleep early Thursday night, so because I'd been up all day working, cooking and stuff, and I was just exhausted.
So the food was good. We had our turkey and mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, and we also had the candied sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows on it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. So,
now, you don't like sweet potatoes?
Yeah, once in a while, but with marshmallows on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta have the little marshmallows on it.
Yeah. Now I like sweet potato mashed up with some butter. That's pretty good.
Yeah. We actually when we do, and this year, Judy said, she says, "Oh, just do some mashed potatoes, gravy, and fix the ham." And my son was going to bring over the rolls. Well, when my youngest son's family didn't show up, it's just going to be the 3 of us, and I told him, don't worry about rolls. And so, but that morning, I asked her Wednesday when I went out to do my final shopping. I said, "Okay, what all do you want?" She said, "Oh, I want corn on the cob." So, okay, I can do that. So I picked up some frozen corn on the cob and put it in my crock pot express, which is a electric pressure cooker. Oh my God, that came out good. And just took a little bit of time. Didn't have to boil the water or anything, and just put it in there, pressure cooked it for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and it was done. And but anyways, I make a pea salad. It's made out of green peas. So some people don't like green peas, but but it's one that my ex-mother-in-law made for years, and I learned how to do it. And I've made it every year for Thanksgiving since Judy and I've been, or for
So
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
you ate all your ham and peed on your plate?
No, I ate all my ham, but no, I didn't pee on my plate. And no, I didn't eat all the ham. Hell, we still got 10 pounds of ham in there because it was just the three of us. But so anyways, I almost picked up a small can of sweet potatoes, candied yams, and I was going to, I'm just not going to do it. She said she didn't want that. She wanted corn. So anyways, Thursday morning, she said, no pea salad. So Thursday morning, she says, we're going to do pea salad, right? And I said, yeah, I'll be right back. I go to the store and pick up the pea salad, and I almost picked up a can of yams so anyways, I make the pea salad, get everything. She gets up, and James comes in, we sit down, and I'm fixing her everything, put corn on the plate, cut the corn off the cob, for her. So,
Right.
And buttered it and salt and peppered it and everything, and then put the pea salad on her plate, the ham. She was happy. She says,
"Where's the yams?"
Yeah, she says, "You didn't make no sweet potatoes." And I gotta admit, I love the sweet potatoes with ham because the ham has kind of got I put brown sugar on it, even though it was already smoked and cured. I still put brown sugar and pop it in the oven to warm it and put some little cloves in it, which just added to the flavor. But it's like I wished I'd had the yams now because even I like to have a little bit of the yams on my plate to sop it up with the ham. So I'll not make that mistake come Christmas.
There you go. Well,
unless we have lasagna again.
Oh, that sounds good. Yesterday I made a bison pot roast yesterday, and oh god, I think bison meat is better for making pot roast than beef chuck, beef roast. Yeah. Because I just looked. I picked out the one that had the most marbling in it, because that stuff just melts in your mouth when you get that fat, and it's like candy. And
see, we don't have a lot of bison sold around here for some reason.
Well, this is part of Kroger, and Kroger has their own brand of bison meat. They've got bison burger, and they had these little chuck roast bison, and company gave us gift cards for Kroger, so I thought, I'll get some of that. And so
cool.
I used up the rest of my gift card for my medication that I had to pick up today. So that turned out really good with the potatoes, carrots, mushrooms, and a half an onion in it. And boy, was it good. So that's what I'm going to be having for dinner for the next several nights.
Yeah.
Because I got 2 tubs full of bison pot roast.
Yeah, that's about the way I am with ham right now. I had some for early supper, but I'm gonna go in there and make me some more after I get off this show. Well,
you could make what was it? The potatoes au gratin with ham in it. There you go.
Yeah, I could. Probably not. I'll probably just. What I'll eventually do is part of it I'm going to take and freeze, and then part I'll put it in a vacuum sealer. And
there you go.
Part of it I will grind up, mince up real, and then add some, mustard, mayonnaise, some cheese, and for ham salad sandwich.
There you go. And it makes really good catfish bait too.
Yeah, but it's too cold to go catfishing right now in Oklahoma, so it's just. It's been cold today. I actually had to. I actually had to stay in my robe all day. I finally had to crank the heat up some more.
Well, we're
It's been
glad you stayed in your robe.
yeah. Well, I've got my shirt on now, but
There you go. There you
and yes, it's a plaid shirt in case Uncle Bill's watching.
go.
But hey, it's a comfortable shirt and it was still clean. So yeah,
So yeah, so politics has been kind of slow, the last, this week because it's holiday week, and
yeah.
about the only big thing was the hostage situation, and glad that we're getting some of them back.
Yeah. It
I
was nice of Biden to send the Palestinians all that money and the care package that he sent to them. So
right,
to
yeah,
help.
so they could buy some more RPGs and
Yeah, well, he's actually the money that they're sending to the PLO. He's sending money to the PLO, which will actually help them pay the salaries of all the terrorists that have just been released
and all
from prisons.
the families that martyred themselves.
Yeah, the martyred, yeah, right.
Yep.
And Palestinians, they got a good work program. If you live and you're in prison over 5 years, you get a salary for life.
Right.
The longer you're in prison as a Palestinian terrorist, the more money you make. If you live, otherwise you become Ahmed the dead terrorist.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you get Jeff Dunham's hand up your ass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Probably should have said that on this show. I should have waited for tomorrow night's show. Yeah.
Yeah, so not a whole lot going on, just watching football today. Yes, Lloyd?
The 4-year-old American girl did get released today.
Oh, okay, good.
The one whose birthday was Friday. She was in this latest release. So she watched her parents get killed, watched her mother get killed first, runs to her father. He covers her with his body and he dies. And then she runs to some neighbors and they get captured and taken hostage. So they did release her. And but her family, all of her family is dead. Her mom and her dad, and all her immediate family. I think she had a brother that was killed too. So and they want to negotiate with these kind of people. I'm like Israel, man. Just blow them the hell out of the water. Be done with them. It's like I saw today, the Palestinians who don't have any electricity. And here's a question. If they don't have any electricity in Gaza, how is it that all of their cell phones are still charged?
Ooh, yes. Well, unless they're using solar packs.
Well, regardless, they're not supposed to have any electricity or any, that's what they're saying. But yet everyone had, what they did is there was they had an execution and the crowds cheered it because they killed 2 Palestinians that were working with the Israelis. Oh. And they executed them as traitors. They actually crucified them and then cut them in half.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. And they filmed it and released the video. And they say we're uncivilized.
Right.
And all of the Palestinians were, and they say the Palestinian people aren't in support of Hamas, but yet there was crowds just cheering and cheering and cheering, hundreds and hundreds of people there. Like, no, the Palestinians have brought this upon themselves,
Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that Israeli Mossad takes care of the Hamas leaders that are living in Qatar.
In Dubai? Yeah, or in Qatar, yeah.
Yep, or Qatar. Yep.
Yeah, exactly, Cool Cat. You're right. they have plenty of power, and the thing is Israel supposedly cut their power, but with all those underground tunnels and stuff, they've got generator systems set up there. They've got everything. They've had
Right.
years to build those that labyrinth of underground. It's like going into the Bat Cave,
Right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, we managed to eat up an hour talking about what food we had for Thanksgiving, and we talked about Disney. We talked about Target. We talked about the hostage situation, and hopefully, I'm not optimistic that this will be resolved anytime
Yes,
soon.
Andrew, I did.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
everybody in the chat.
And
Yes.
I want to apologize to Charles because he was really, I just sat there and listened. Charles, I really enjoyed listening to you talk, and I know I come into this show and take over, and I don't mean to, so just tell me to shut up, Charles.
I think I was pretty much done saying what what was on my mind about Target and stuff. So
Right,
Mhm.
right.
you don't need to feel to apologize to me. I do want to. I just want to talk about one thing. The phrase "kill them all and let God sort it out." That was we originally, I think that was came to be during like the Vietnam War, because it was almost impossible to tell
The good from the bad, yeah. The Vietnamese from the Viet Cong.
from
Mhm.
the North Vietnam from North Vietnamese
South.
from South Vietnamese. You
Yeah.
didn't know who was what. You didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I want us to be a little bit more careful moving forward, because when you apply that to what's going on nowadays,
Right.
Yeah. That was a bad phraseology.
And I don't want to beat you over the head with it, because I know you're
Oh,
a
no.
smart man, Lloyd. But
Yeah,
I
no,
know
no.
you're just frustrated. You're just frustrated at watching all the nonsense that's going on in our
Right.
society.
And I've used that, and that is bad. It's terrible phraseology, and I know that, and I know where it came from, and I just tend to use that. It's like,
wanted to put that out for anybody
Right.
watching this.
don't listen to what I say, because half the time I don't know what I'm saying, and when I do say it, it's like, well, hell, that wasn't too bright. But yeah, and you're right, Charles. That's exactly what it was used for.
Mhm.
It was actually what it was used for, and you're right. You can't paint them all with the same brush. You're right.
Right.
And it's just that
Yeah,
it
thank
gets
you very
so
much for that, Lloyd. That's what I was trying to say.
Absolutely.
To try and reel in
You're right.
a few things here, but
Right, and you can't every circumstance. And when it comes to politicians, I don't care whether they're on the right or the left. Most of the time, they're all worthless as far as I'm concerned. They just
Well,
don't
that's
ever
true.
do what
Mhm.
That's why, at least we got one. At least we'll go to the canvas for somebody. But yes, definitely. You're absolutely right, Charles, and that's where it came from, because I'm from that era. I'm from that Vietnam era, so we kind of, that mindset still tends to be in some of us that were around that. I got used to hearing that with all my and you're right. And just as a little one-off there, my brother was engaged to before he went to Vietnam, was engaged to his girlfriend from high school, who was Chinese. She was Chinese-Irish. She was half Chinese, half Irish.
Oh.
And when he came back from Vietnam, they got married before he went on his last tour. He was in the middle of between his second and third tour over there. And they got married, and then he went back over there. But when he came back, he looked at her and treated her a whole lot different. And it took about 12 years before it finally came to a head, and they got divorced. And a lot of that had to do with his reaction to her being Asian, because he had that mindset. kill them all, let
a
God sort them out.
PTSD sort of
And
reaction.
it was, yeah. And he said it took him years. He was in his 60s before he went and got help for PTSD. He didn't even realize he had it. He just kept it all bottled up.
Right.
He became a closet alcoholic none of us knew about until after she left him, and then he went and got help. And then that still didn't take care of the problem. He finally went and got help for the PTSD. He got in a program for the alcoholism, and he's been sober, I know, for about 41 years now, 42, about 41 years now. So that's good, but he had that same attitude, and we all saw it. My sister and I both saw it, and my sister-in-law was just the sweetest, kindest, most wonderful person, and was a good friend to me and my sister, but he just had that attitude when he came back from Southeast Asia that,
Right.
it triggered something in him, and he didn't beat her. At least I never saw him, and I never saw her with any bruises. I don't think she would have put up with it. And to be honest, her father would have probably killed him, because he was a Chinese cook that knew how to use a knife. I've seen him do it. he would have killed him. And my brother was one of those that, as far as I know, never laid a hand on a woman in his life. He was brought up the way I would. My dad would have killed him. And probably my dad and I would have grabbed him and beat him half to death just for doing it. But nonetheless, you're right that you don't paint everybody. And that was a great point to bring up. Yes. I actually saw that on a bumper sticker when somebody was, it was in a movie, and where they threw a dog, there was a puppy in a sack, and they threw it in the river, and then they had a bumper sticker that said, "Kill them all, let God sort them out." And it was showing what kind of attitude that was. So I probably should change that phraseology, And although I did have the saying years ago about the Middle East, the best thing we could do is drop a ton of nukes on the Middle East and turn it into one giant glass plant. Just melt all that sand into a glass factory. We wouldn't have those problems, but there again, that's painting them all with one brush. So there's a lot of good people over there, but yeah, you're right, Charles. Thank you for pointing that out, because I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome, Lloyd. I just, I wanted to try and preserve the integrity of the show. We're out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Yep.
Yes, definitely. Anytime I say something like that, feel free to call me on, because I'm not thin-skinned. I'm a grown man that plays with dolls. If I can take a ribbon from that, I can take being corrected on bad ideas. So.
All right. Well. Thank you.
I'm not LGBTQ.
So everybody in the chat, thanks for coming. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you next week. Take care, and God bless. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.
Good night, all.